Excellent. Well, it is so exciting to be up here with one of my favorite people in transportation. As was mentioned, I'm Dottie Watkins. It's my privilege and honor to serve as the president and CEO of CapMetro here in Austin, Texas. I've been at CapMetro for a very, very, very long time, and our relationship with TxDOT has only gotten better and better over the years, and I absolutely adore that I get to share the stage with Caroline today.
No, thank you very much, Dottie, and really excited to and honored to share the stage with you. Definitely, you know, long relationship with CapMetro. Caroline Mays, TxDOT, been at TxDOT 11 years, and yes, the ride is getting really exciting, especially what we're going to talk about here today. One of my newest role is really to oversee transit and transit planning in the state of Texas. So really just excited, and really, you know, with Dottie, she was one of the first people I went to visit when I took on this role, when I started to do my roadshow. And from then, it was just like, you know, this match made in heaven type thing that really, you know, the vision and what they're doing at CapMetro and how we can integrate that into TxDOT has been fabulous. So just an honor to be on stage with you.
Well, thank you. So to help our audience get to know you a little bit better, I have a question for you. This is a surprise question. She doesn't know what this introductory question is going to be. So tell me a moment when you first felt hooked by transit within the transportation industry. And what makes you love what you do?
Really, my love with transit was in Toronto, Canada. So got to Canada, and when you're young, you're a teenager going to high school, there's not a lot of options. So Toronto is like a city for a teenager. You can even go to a club on transit. So fell in love because we could get on a streetcar, go hang out, and be able to take the streetcar or the train back home so we don't have to call the parents to come pick us up. My kids now, oh, Mom, can you come pick me up? Can you drop me up? I did not have that. So that's why I fell in love with transit. It gave me the ability to be mobile, to be free, and not to have to ask for rides, and not to pay for Uber either, because I use the same transit pass all day, every day. So that's how I fell in love with transit.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right. Do you have a question for me?
Yes. Yeah. What keeps you at night at CapMetro?
What keeps me up at night, other than my 9-year-old who keeps me up at night? That's not CapMetro. That's a whole different story. No, I think what's keeping me up at night at CapMetro is probably what bothers most transit CEOs, which is money. We obviously have an enormous long list of things we want to do, and things are only getting more and more expensive. We're having a somewhat flattish sales tax year, which is not making my heart feel warm and fuzzy. So really just thinking about money, not in terms of, oh my God, I have to think about every penny, but are we using what we've got in the best way we can? So yes, we have a reliable source of revenue in our sales tax, but are we using it in the right way? And are we prioritizing it in the right way? So normally when I wake up in the middle of the night, it's because my 9-year-old screamed out. But then as I'm trying to go back to sleep, it's usually the money that I'm worried about.
Perfect, perfect.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about how CapMetro and TxDOT work together. You know, one of the things that I love that Caroline has done since she's come into this role is really incorporate the large urban systems into the conversation. So the metropolitan transit authorities within the state don't receive funding through the state. We receive all of our funding direct from the federal government. And so historically, TxDOT kind of didn't really mess with us, which, you know, it's not bad to have somebody not want to mess with you, but it also meant they didn't really want to talk. They didn't really talk to us either. And so really being able to kind of move that conversation forward, I think has been really important, because transportation is a network. And we talk, you know, as infrastructure providers, you guys probably know this better than the average bear, but it doesn't work, you know, but I can't run my buses without good roads, right? And it takes buses and trains and good roads and good freight movement and our ports and all of that to make Texas successful. And I think we are really doing a good job of helping everyone see how we all fit together. What do you think?
Yeah, excuse me, definitely our, meaning TxDOT's relationship with, CapMetro and major metropolitan transit authorities, it's been there, but a lot more at the local district level, whether it's, roadways or express lanes, HOV lanes to ensure that the buses can operate on our system, or things like sidewalks on the state system, et cetera. And here, with CapMetro, the Austin district has been very, very instrumental working with, CapMetro, whether it's, I think it's the Red Line, downtown were very instrumental in that, but also I think we provided funding for bike and ped facilities here. And then now, a lot of you may not know, we got the big central, I-35 in Austin, soon to be under some massive construction for many years. So that's ongoing discussions between TxDOT and CapMetro on how will we handle the movement of people throughout the construction zone once we get started. So there's just, several examples that, I can outline of what we already do today. But I think what I'm most excited is really the relationship since I took over, really at a higher level. And I tell people that one of the things I enjoy the most is kind of this modal integration. Okay, and that is what has really been exciting about my job now, is to really look at, okay, how do we work with CapMetro? How do we work with DART? How do we work with Houston Metro? How do we work with VIA and many of the other transit agencies to really have a partnership and a collaboration? Because at the end of the day, Texans want to get to where they want to go. They want to get to work. They want to get to, school. They want to get to grocery store. What if every Texan had access to whatever mode they wanted to use? And really, transit is a huge part of that, especially for those that live in urban areas, but also for rural areas. So rural areas, for instance, we have partnered with CapMetro on CUTS, which is what actually TxDOT provides funding for, because it's funded a little bit differently. So you can see how we partner to ensure that even the rural areas are served, or areas outside of the metropolitan areas are served with transit by partnering with CapMetro.
Yeah, and I can see your influence, and I give you all the credit. I'm sure there are plenty of folks within TxDOT who believe in transportation as a network, but I give Caroline all the credit in the projects, even the road projects that we work on. I-35 through the center of town here in Austin, Texas, you may be shocked to learn there are people who are against the highway expansion project and very vocal about their opposition to the highway expansion project. And a number of them have approached me as a transit CEO expecting me to be like, oh yeah, down with highways because highway expansion projects are awful. And in general, I'm not the biggest fan of highway expansion projects. I'm a new urbanist type. I think, I believe in induced demand and all of that. But when I look at what TxDOT has planned for I-35, I don't see a highway expansion project. Yes, it will expand, but they are completely renovating the highway. And there's a lot about that project that the local road builders worked with us to make sure got managed. So currently, our Red Line commuter railroad crosses the frontage roads at grade at the interstate twice. And as part of this rebuild project, TxDOT will be grade separating those, which is not only great for our reliability, but those are two of our highest pedestrian activity and incident locations, right? Where folks are most likely to wander in front of a train, which is not a good thing. There's also the managed lanes that are coming in, and that is a fantastic opportunity for us to run even more and better commuter service. And then on the north end, they are building a connection, a direct connect from the managed lanes to our park and ride. Many, many years ago, when we first bought the land for the Tech Ridge Park and Ride, we bought this little 30-foot strip that still existed between these two strip malls and said, well, we're just going to buy that so that we have the right of way one day to build a T-ramp. And I remember at the time thinking, this is Austin, Texas. That is never happening. But it's happening now, and in large part because as we talked about what we needed that road network to do for us, better serving transit was one of the things. And just that T-ramp alone is going to shave 15 minutes off the commute into town on bus from anybody coming from North I-35. Because currently, getting out of the park and riding around and back onto the highway is the most complicated part of the entire trip. So that's just some examples of how, not just because Caroline works on modal programs and works on, helping spread the transit message, but how that is really starting to permeate through the Department of Transportation here in Texas. It's so great to see.
No, I'm really excited about that. And Dottie, one of the things I didn't mention, I actually started my career as a transit planner. A lot of people didn't know that. So I spent several years planning bus routes and sidewalks and on-time performance, all of that. So I really got to appreciate the highway side to ensure that the roadways where our buses, bus routes were, the signals were timed right. And we didn't time the signal, somebody else did. So there's a lot that is really looking at the system from an integrated multimodal perspective, actually help, to really facilitate mobility, efficient mobility for folks. Because part of our biggest challenge today, pedestrians. A lot of pedestrian crashes, a lot of pedestrian facilities. Guess what? Somebody sees a bus and they want to run and catch that bus because they don't want to wait for another half an hour. So those are some of the things that when you really look at it from an integrated perspective, you start seeing, okay, this signal is close to where we have elderly people, there's a school, and all of these folks are trying to get to a bus. Do we time it for the vehicles or do we time it for the pedestrians? So those are some of the things now we're actually discussing within the agency on how we identify the transit corridors, highway corridors that have transit on them, and really look at layering what's some of the things that we need to really be looking for. Construction is another one. If you're running a bus route on a roadway and we start doing construction, how are we accommodating the buses? So again, a lot of it really takes a lot of conversations to bring this to light so that it's not us versus them. It's more all of us together.
Yeah, so speaking of your planning background, the absolute coolest thing that TxDOT is working on right now, in my personal opinion, is the statewide multimodal transit plan. Will you tell the group a little bit about what we've got going on?
Yes, and my public transit division, nobody's here, so I'll be the ambassador. So one of the key things when I took over this role, I was asked, so you're now the chief planning officer for TxDOT. Pull all of this together, let's see what, show us your vision, where the gaps are and what needs to be done. So pull all of it together, have this graphic that shows everything, but what was missing on the people movement side, we did a lot on the freight side. Don't blame me, that was my baby for a long time. So we tried to really engage and create plans and strategies to address how goods move in Texas, but not on the people side. So one of the first things we identified, we've never really comprehensively pulled together a statewide multimodal transit plan. And then also, in addition to that, we're not really pulled together a statewide active transportation plan. We've done pieces here and there. So about a year ago, we kicked off the plan, and it's really exciting to do this at a statewide level. So the plan is it's looking at statewide and looking at needs, whether you're in the rural area, in the urban areas. Like Dottie mentioned, one of the key things we did was to engage the MTAs. We had not done that as TxDOT, but yet this is in the regions where we have the most challenges and issues with congestion. So the plan is looking at needs, but also the plan is going to help us identify strategies to address those needs. So let me tell you what's bubbling up right now in the transit plan: access to jobs, facilitating people going to jobs. And I'll just mention two companies. Walmart, South Dallas, Inland Port, warehousing job, $35 an hour. They can't get people to go to get to those jobs, okay? So that's what we're dealing with, and I can give you 10 other examples throughout the state where good paying jobs, people cannot get there because of because they don't have transportation. And access to transit is a huge, huge deal throughout the state. So this is what the plan is going to try to do, and really articulate roles and responsibility, who does what, where, when, and really with the goal to ensure that we have multimodal options for Texans to get to jobs, to schools, to hospitals, to anything that really improves their quality of life. So really excited about this plan, and really the stakeholder engagement has been probably one of the most fascinating piece, because I didn't do that in my previous role, but to see a lot of people really very passionate, and the lives that are changed every day in the rural areas. Veterans, for instance. A veteran could go 100 miles to get to a VA hospital, and the only option they have is transit. So really to see some of those stories in the rural areas is real life-changing, to go to a medical appointment or to go to a job. So that's really what's exciting, is to see that we're now elevating this to a statewide level, mobilizing all the stakeholders to really be able to really highlight a transportation system or mode that has kind of been silent, yet before COVID, it was 275 million rides a day on transit in the state of Texas. So Dottie, that's why I'm excited about it, and really just excited to work with everybody on it.
Absolutely. One of the things I've always loved about public transportation is we serve people, right? And so it is kind of that soft heart of the infrastructure network, right? You really can see the lives you're changing and the impacts you're making, because you are literally interacting with those people every day. It's sometimes hard to see the person who benefits from better freight movement, right? That's harder to actually see, but it is so much easier to see on the people side. And I think, as the very intimidating clock, by the way, sitting right here just continues to count down, one of the things I want to make sure that we leave y'all with this positive vibe about partnership, because I think that's really when we talk about what is the future of mobility, and what do we believe that we're able to do right now in the transit space, it is about partnership. And I think that the folks in this room actually are in a unique place to help us find those next partners, because y'all work with all of us, right? You've got the architects and the engineers and the planners and all the construction management folks and the people who do infrastructure kind of across all the modes, and probably have your own stories about, I was over talking to so-and-so, they don't even know such and such is doing this thing, right? And because y'all see it, tell us about it. I mean, please come tell us. Come tell TxDOT, come tell your local transit system, tell your city municipality, whoever it is that you're partnering with to deliver a project. If you know of anything happening anywhere in that space, let folks know, because I do think it's that people connection, and it's people getting together to solve problems that ultimately is the way we're going to make infrastructure work better in the state of Texas.
Yeah, and my my final word really is, call to action is, each of you can be an ambassador for multimodal transportation in the state of Texas. Because of what Dottie just mentioned, you have a role to play. If you're a consultant, you're working with any of the public agencies, when you're planning, feasibility study, designing, think multimodal. Okay, don't think just one mode. Challenge some of us and say, okay, this is a transit corridor. I think this treatment would be right. That would work here. That would enhance this. So be an ambassador for it, because we have 30 million people in Texas today. We're projecting about 45 million to 50 million by 2050, 2060. We're not going to be able to move them by one mode, but we all here collectively can start to, change that by enhancing and facilitating intentional integration of our system, so that every Texan, every business can get employees to come work for them, and all of us can really enjoy a good quality of life. So I'm just excited about this, and hope you all will, continue to really ensure that Texas has the best transportation system in the U.S., and we're hoping that we continue to do that collectively here, Dottie.
I'll be right there with you doing it. Thank you so much for your time today.